initial impressions, this thing's got some juice. That is pretty impressive. So I'm gonna go ahead and push this thing about as hard as I can. I've got about, I don't know, 70 or 80 feet of line, 1 false cast, 2 false casts, hammer that back cast. That is a good, it is a powerful saltwater rod. I've got no issue, no performance issues with this rod, absolutely whatsoever. This rod will cast as far and handle an aggressive style caster like me. I tend to get after it. I'm gonna grip a little lower on it this time. I'm gonna move my hand down a little bit and push it even harder. And I say that it's not unpleasant. That little tangle kind of going out the guides there, and it still ate it up. But yeah, as far as performance goes, you know, not an issue at all. We're doing a little bit of blind casting, but mostly just kind of waiting for a good shot. But we want to put those flies right up along the mangroves, not in the mangroves like that last cast. And I think I've been casting this thing pretty aggressively and pretty hard. I kind of want to retract. My initial impression was that this thing had all the energy in the world, but I think it's partially because I was jumping from an 8 weight to a 10 weight. As I've cast this more and more, this rod is really kind of buttery smooth. It's great for setting down these softer presentations, but if I was buying a rod simply for, you know, optimal performance, maybe you know, a specific tarpon rod, I probably would consider one of the other top end rods. But if you don't like casting, you know, I'm happy with a 10 weight, 12 weight, whatever. I'm an efficient caster, but if you've ever had a hard time casting 10 weights and 12 weights, man, this zone is right up your alley, because it really is just the easiest casting rod that I've grabbed lately. And I would, yeah, have a lot of rods even with me on this trip, but man, I'll tell you, when it comes to just being able to pick this fly up, you know, just a gentle false cast. I mean, I hammered on this thing pretty hard and it took it, but that's a really nice, gentle, smooth cast that I've got. So I think for presentation along the mangroves, I think this zone is, man, it's going to become one of my favorites for this type of fishing. You know, for permit fishing with big flies out in extreme wind, I'm probably going a different route, you know, for that. But for a good all-around saltwater rod, for somebody that doesn't necessarily excel at casting, you know, big heavy rods and big heavy lines, I think the zone's about as easy a casting rod as you're going to get. And I'm able to just really gently pick this thing up, check this spot, check that spot, check the next spot. I really like how easy it is to cast. And I think for a lot of people, especially maybe you don't have a real strong double haul, maybe you haven't cast a lot of 10 weights and 12 weights, I think this zone would be just a perfect transition for that person. As far as performance goes, I think technique is going to be the difference maker for you. This rod's not going to be a limiting factor, I don't think, for 90+% of casters out there. But if you want something that's pretty fun and easy to cast in a 10 weight, I'm hoping it kind of shows up on video just how easy and effortless that rod loads up for me, because it doesn't even feel like work throwing a big tarpon fly in along these mangroves. And I'm throwing pretty good distance. I'm throwing a solid, you know, 50+ feet right now. So hopefully that's helpful. I think you know, other than just going up here and trying to catch some fish, I think in conclusion on this, the TNT zone, yeah, I think if you struggle to cast big heavy rods, you want something that's pleasant to cast in that, you know, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 range. I think this thing maxes out at 10 weight, but in those heavier rods, the TNT zone is just a great choice. I think it's easy to cast, fun to cast, and should offer plenty of performance, like I said, for 90+% of casters out there. So let me go see if I can catch fish on this thing, and we'll go. All right, so I'm gonna wrap up my video review of the TNT zone. It's an awesome rod. I actually just used it to complete my grand slam for the day. I've landed a permit, bonefish, and now a tarpon. And I used the TNT sextant for the permit in the bonefish, and then ran the zone for the tarpon. And I think that the zone is a great rod. I think I said this before, just it's an easy casting rod. It wouldn't be my first choice for like long distance shooting heads, or for permit or something that requires just sometimes ultimate line speed and tight loops. But for 90% of your saltwater fishing situations, it's an easy rod to cast. It's pleasant to cast. It's a lot of fun. It flexes pretty easy. As far as value goes, there's a huge gap between a less expensive rod in the zone. The zone's just going to be way better than anything in that $200, $300, $400 price range. But there isn't a huge gap between like the zone and some of those higher level rods. So I think it's a really good value, good choice. I'm gonna go catch a tarpon right here apparently.